What is your experience with ADL as a high school student? What was that like for y'all?
Okay. For me, it was just, being young, you don't really understand how life is outside of what you are known from your parents and family and school. And ADL here, it just helped me to see life in a different way from actually with tools that are actually utilized in life. So ADL definitely helped me to think about the outside, not just where I currently was and as a high schooler.
Gotcha, gotcha.
For me, it was something to adapt to quick because I ain't never heard of nothing like 26 principles until I got to eighth grade here and follow up with high school. But outside of that, it helped a lot. Helped a lot through my life, and I just turned 28, so it's still in my life.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I remember kind of like my earliest encounters with ADL were definitely positive. I think as a student, because I started off with ADL, in middle school. Like most of us, basically all
Every
of us,
single
right?
one of us.
Every single last one of us started with middle school, but kind of like that. So we all know that initially it was like that language was used to kind of like help us be more disciplined in school. So like it's like okay, with uniform, having pen and paper and things like that, it was be punctual and prepared. Those, those principles were used as like the terminology around the school. It was like a language. It's basically like a language, right? And just if I turned in work and the paper was balled up, the teachers would, hey, you need to resubmit that assignment. You're gonna have an F in the grade book until you resubmit quality work from yourself, right? So it was kind of like using those terms as a language was kind of like my experience with ADL. But at first it was like, being a kid, you're like, I don't necessarily want to follow these things. It may be hard to keep up with sometimes. But as I got older and older, each year I started to understand them more and, try my best to embody them and take them seriously, for sure.
Same, I agree. For me, literally coming in at sixth grade, I wasn't really thinking about like how to be open minded or how to take responsibility for my actions. Like those wasn't the things that was on my mind. So when I came to perspectives, it's really like opened a different view of like just how to see the world. Like wow, it's bigger than me and it's bigger than what I do on an everyday basis. Like I can be more and like it was just like really eye opening for me. Yeah, it just helped me see the world and just see myself as an individual in a different standpoint.
Yeah, I certainly agree with everyone. I do want to say that, like Shaw was saying, it's a language. It was also an entire lifestyle for us. I don't know if y'all felt the same, but I was overwhelmed when I was in middle school. And I had got presented with these 26 principles that I had never heard of as a child. And so it was something that took practice. I feel like I was not an expert on those 26 principles until I was in like eighth grade, maybe freshman year of high school, because it does take some practice, right? It's new to us. And so for me, I do feel like it was a lifestyle. There was no time or place where you could be in the perspectives like on that campus without seeing an ADL principle, hearing an ADL principle. And so it was something that was embedded in our culture and it became a lifestyle. Like I recall using the ADL principles outside of school and my peers or family members being like, and what is that? And then that was my moment, to go ahead and just enlighten them on what I had learned at school. And so because of that, it became like a part of me in school, but then I took that outside of school as well. And it's something that still lives with me today. I mean, Whiteside's wearing a hat that says show compassion right now. So right there, I'm drinking out of a water bottle that says seek wisdom. So it's constantly like around us.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I know when I was in high school, like toward the end, college and things like that, a lot of the ADL principles kind of came into play, especially with jobs and stuff like that. Like being punctual and being prepared was like a real thing. Jobs did not care about any type of excuse you had as to why you were late, why you didn't come with your uniform on, why aren't you, or if it was an internship, why I had to wear a shirt and tie, why is your shirt and tie not, like presentable, right? So perspectives was literally creating these principles in order for us to use them in the real world. And I just thought that was just such an amazing experience. So what are some experiences that you all may have had, like some memories that you might have had that, had to do with ADL? Like any specific memories?
I have one. And this one is inside of school. Y'all might have some that's outside of school, but I recall. Well, one thing I love about perspectives is that they actually have a class that's dedicated towards these 26 principles. It's called ADL, Discipline Life class, right? And I remember when I was taking my mandatory discipline life class, my freshman year of high school, I actually had Darcy Scharf as my advisor, and she's now the assistant principal at Perspectives. She really ensured that her advisees lived in ADL, and she would remind us about the principles constantly. And I remember we had to do this project where we had to pick one ADL principle that we were working on for the quarter to improve on, and mine was being organized, right? So I had got diagnosed with ADHD, and so I already knew that I had issues with like being organized. That just comes with my disability. And so I remember setting that as a goal. Like, I really want to live out this principle. I want to practice being more organized. And I remember Miss Sharp helping me like with dividers in my binder and like checking my binder every single week. And to me, I felt empowered because I knew that I could set a goal, and it's like there's 26 of those, and it's overwhelming, like I said. And so just looking at one, diving into one and focusing on that for an entire quarter, that's a lot for someone that's really young, right? We don't want our students to just memorize 26 principles and like go out and live it. Like, it's something you have to actively practice. And so having that support, like my ADO teacher supporting me through that and checking up on me every single week, it actually helped me because when I went into college, I used those exact same principles. Everything that Ms. Sharf was teaching me about being organized. My binder was always organized, my notebooks. And I took that to college, and that helped me become successful. And to this day, now as a teacher, I use that too. Like, that has been ingrained in me. And so it's that one principle that always sits with me because I had an entire project on it, and it was a goal for me for the entire quarter.
I would say for me, what came to mind was being inducted into the National Honor Society. I've like always been a student that just got by. Like, I was okay with just getting by and just like not really being a part of anything. Until I was presented to opportunity to join the National Honor Society. And at first I was just like, what, me? Nah, I don't think it's for me. But then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm gonna challenge myself intellectually. I'm gonna make sure I get whatever it is that I need so that I can be ready to apply for it. And I did just that. I really just like zoned in, made sure that my grades was good, made sure that I have like my teacher recommendations, and just make sure that I was doing everything that I needed to do as a student, so that I can be inducted into the National Honor Society. And I locked in, and I did. So with that, it was really a challenging experience for me that I would say that I was challenging myself intellectually.
Awesome. I like those examples. Those are awesome. Mine, I would say, a lot of people would say is a little bit more sad on the sad side because I've always struggled with like kind of advocating for myself, advocating for like things that I need and stuff like that. And I struggled with that for a very long time. Still, even to this day, sometimes I might just struggle in silence instead of saying, hey, I need help, or hey, I'm going through this, or things like that. So communicate effectively has been like a really, really, really big one in my life that I'm currently still actively working on. It's like, yeah, maybe I can communicate with others about like things that they could do better or things that they're doing well. But when it comes to myself, I kind of forget to like basically talk about myself in a way where it's like, okay, just asking help, right? So that's kind of my experience with it, is that I'm still learning the 26 different principles because as I get older, I realize that there's more to learn in different tiers inside each principle. Like, maybe you may be a person that is good with saying thank you to someone and that's showing gratitude, but sometimes you may have to go into tier 2 where you actually show your gratitude, where you like, hey, man, I appreciate everything it is that you do around here. How about I do something to make your life easier? Like that kind of thing. Like, just understanding the different tiers inside of each principle and just thinking about them on a deeper level. So that's kind of like my experience.
Take responsibility for my actions. That one, I don't want to say easy, but that's the most one I feel like I did more because when we was in high school, we had silent lunch. I'm sorry, Mr. Shaw. I ain't take responsibility for my action that day. But that's the one like when I got older, I realized like if I just do it, like confess to it, it'll be more easier than just keeping on the lie.
Yeah.
But in high school, that was the one I was avoiding.
I'll say for me, when my last year of school, this program started. It was called a peer mediator. And with that, that's when, you're a student, you come in, you have some other students may have a disagreement or some problems with each other, and you sit there together and talked it through as peers. And that made you to think, take responsibility for your actions, and also being positive and supportive. And that has continued up until now, where I've gotten to a point where, some people may not understand and may need that person outside of different relationships to come in and be there and support and encourage, be positive, show understanding. And that's just in general with life. And as now a paraprofessional, that's something that it reminds me of being that peer mediator, being there and saying, hey, I understand where you are. Let's talk through it. Let's give you some skills and some tools to support you. But I wouldn't have had that opportunity if it wasn't for that peer mediator, as well as our ADL principals being able to bring it back and say, hey, let's focus on these things. What did we not do right here? Which ADL could we have used here? Communicate effectively. What could we have done? And utilizing it currently as an adult.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. Peer mediation, that was like a really, really cool thing to do. I think that's something we could bring back too, actually. But yeah, just thinking about kind of like all of our experiences with ADL, there were definitely some fun times too. Just downright fun times with ADL that I could just think about. I think about the ADL fun days. I think about all of the times where, the field studies, when,
like the gardening.
Yeah. So
The merit field trips.
Yep, all of those things. So let's talk a little bit about those things. What are some of those like memories that y'all have of those things?
I loved when at the old campus we had in the back we had like little areas where we could plant things, and I really enjoyed that because it beautified our community. It made you have more respect for where we are in our neighborhoods, because we are in the city of Chicago. There are some flaws, but being able to take pride in my community and being able to say I was able to give back, and loving ourselves to be able to say, I have pride in where I am, and hey, this is what we have, the resources that we have, but we can beautify and empower ourselves in the midst of where we are.
That's awesome.
For me, the first thing that came to mind was if you went to PLA, you would know the leadership award assemblies. That was really like a highlight of my high school experience, period. I still remember all of the chants and songs that we had to come up with surrounding ADL, and we had to present in front of literally the whole school. It was just always a fun time where we was able to come together and we all got awards for leadership, service, or whatever it is that the things that we were doing. That would be if I was to think of ADL, that would be
Yeah, I would definitely say the merit field trips, because back then you used to get merits based off you implementing or showing that you're living a disciplined life, right? And so if you were embodying the 26 principles, you would be rewarded with merits. And at the end of each quarter, you got to do two things. You got to go on a merit field trip, which was different than our field studies because there was no assignment attached to it. It was just pure fun. We would go to the movies or whatnot, and other events too. And then you'd also get a shirt that you got to wear every single Friday that next quarter or whatnot. And so having a dress down day every single Friday, because we had a very strict dress code back then. And so being able to be a little bit more loose and casual was really important to us. And earning that meant that we had to make sure that we were embodying the 26 principles. And I miss all those Fridays, my dress down days, and I miss going on those mirror field trips. We didn't have to go to class on a Friday. You got to go and hang out with your other friends who are also embodying ADL. So it's a big memory for me.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun times with ADL. Even with detention, even with detention. Yeah, like sometimes things happen in class, or something happens where you end up, if you come to school late or something like that, you'll have detention. But we were using that to basically, like still help the school out. So during detention, we would kind of do things like help clean up, or be reflective.
Wait, Shaw, how do you know what they did during detention? You had detention in high school?
Couple times.
Oh, wow.
Couple times.
So
Not that
you took responsibility for your actions, though.
Yeah, it showed up.
We was in that every day.
But you took responsibility. So.
Yeah. Talking about our adult life, what we got going on in our adult life as far as ADL?
All of them. All of them. When you get older, all of them going to follow right behind each other.
That's so true.
Like, seek wisdom. You learning something new every day. Being punctual and prepared. Definitely you working back at your old high school. I can go on all day about that. But it's in your life. It's going to be in your life till you leave Earth.
Yeah.
It's going to be in your kids' life.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Absolutely.
For me, I would say using your time wisely is something big, especially as we're getting older. We'll be pushing on 30 real soon. So it's like, time is not waiting for anyone.
Why you remind us?
So currently, focusing on utilizing the time that we're given every single day and making the best out of it. That's where I've lately been focusing.
Yeah, definitely. Why you have to remind us that we turning 30?
We all know.
Yeah. But like I said, communicating effectively is an important thing. Making sure I'm on time to work. My supervisor's over there. I'm on time. I'll be here, right? Demonstrating perseverance when things may not go wrong. I use ADL. I tease my mom with ADL all the time. I talk about it on this podcast a lot. My mom can't stand me because of the fact that I bring up ADL so much, but she knows the principles probably more than a lot of the students that just got here, right? So if you don't want to deal with Mr. Shaw, you can deal with Miss Shaw. You can deal with my mom, and she'll teach you the principles. You ain't got to worry about me. What about y'all though?
I agree with my side. I feel like now that I'm older, have way more responsibilities now. I definitely see all of them come into play in my life. I've had some major life changes with getting married, becoming a mom, and I feel like the ADL principles, I can look at those and use them to put in my life, and just my experiences that I've faced so far, and just how just being more open-minded, and just being more organized, and just everything that the ADL principles are, and how I have to put that into my life, and how I parent my child, or how I, just do certain things. So I definitely see it all through my life.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think the most beautiful thing about the ADL principles that I recognize now as an adult, that I know I wouldn't have never recognized when I was in Perspectives Middle School, Perspectives High School, is that we're always living the 26 principles.
Yep.
But now we're at the age where we can sit back and reflect to see which ones we were embodying. Because I know for a fact, just like y'all, I live them all, right? We all live them all.
Yeah.
But it's your ability to be able to identify which one and when. For example, I'm a leader at my church, and I realized that I take a lot of initiative when it comes to new programs. And I didn't notice that about myself until I had to take a moment. I'm like, wow, I take initiative. Well, where did I learn that? Well, Perspectives. Perspectives is when I first started to learn about taking initiative. And so it's you think about those 26 principles and how you've been living them, but you probably just didn't notice, or, it wasn't as clear to you until you take that time to reflect on it.